The Adventures of Stan by Darrell Cunningham. Chapter 1. The Awakening. James scratched his head. "I don't know," he muttered to himself. "Can't figure out why you don't start," looking down at the engine compartment of the little blue car. He had spent hundreds of hours over the last 2 years completely rebuilding the car he had purchased as a job lot in a very sad and sorry dilapidated state in a farm sale, much to the amazement of his wife, for the princely sum of £100. Since then he had spent over £2,000 on extra parts, new paint job, renewed seat covers and flooring, wiring, and finally 5 new tyres. The little car looked almost brand new, even though it was over 69 years old. He had been surprised to learn that this little car was in fact a very rare 1939 standard Flying 8 Tourer, built just before the outbreak of World War II. However, today it was not going to start, let alone drive, he thought to himself. After a lot more tries, the little car would not start at all, so James conceded defeat and closed the barn doors behind him and walked up the hill to the farmhouse. About that time, Emily, his wife, looked out of the kitchen window and saw James shutting the doors. "Oh dear," she thought to herself, "he's not looking very happy. That old car obviously still won't start." And she decided to make her husband a nice cup of tea and cut him a large chunk of his favourite fruit cake. James opened the kitchen door. "It won't start. Yep, can't figure out what's wrong with it," he said, sitting down on a stool. "Think I will leave it alone for a few days and get on with some of the other jobs that need doing." As he said that, there was a sound of a car on the driveway. "Must be Megan. She said she might pop in with the children," Emily remarked, and headed for the front door. As she opened the front door, 2 youngsters, a boy and a girl, ran in and hugged her. "Hi, Grandma," they both shouted. "Where's Grandad?" "Out in the kitchen," replied Grandma Emily, and off they ran to see him. "Not working on his big toy, then?" Megan asked her mother, rather sarcastically. "No, but he has been," exclaimed Emily. "All day, every day, he can, and he still can't get it to start." While the 2 women continued their chat in the kitchen, the 2 children were asking their granddad about the old car. "Well, Gramps," said Rebecca, "is the car finished now?" James looked at the children and replied, "More or less, just that it still won't start, and I'm at a loss as to a reason." "Can we see it?" pleaded Thomas. "Please, please," asked Becky, as she preferred to be known. "Oh, all right then. I will take you down to the barn. You had better let your mum know where we are going, though," replied Gramps. After Becky ran and told her mother, James led the 2 children to the barn to see the finished car. Opening the doors, the children looked in awe at the beautiful little blue car. The paintwork gleamed, but Becky thought to herself that it looked sad somehow. "It looks like Noddy's car," remarked Thomas. "No, it doesn't," retorted Becky, rather upset. "Grandad's." "What's he called?" "Have not thought about it yet. What do you think?" Even as Becky was about to reply, a strange thought seemed to enter her head. "Stan. I know. Why don't we call him Stan?" she said. "That's a good name, Becky," said her granddad. Becky glanced at Stan and just for a moment thought she saw it smile, and then nothing. As it was getting late, their granddad ushered them out of the barn, and as he started to close the big doors, he glanced at Stan. "He must be called Stan, but he still needs a miracle to get him going." The children looked at each other as they followed their granddad back to the house for supper and bed. Later, Becky lay in bed that night and prayed for an answer to Stan not starting. Stan was fast asleep when the church clock nearby struck midnight. Stan woke up and immediately noticed a shimmering light in the roof area, slowly descending towards him. As it got nearer, he saw a small human-like figure dressed in light, sparkling material, but more than that, he noticed a pair of gossamer wings attached. The figure landed next to Stan and touched his grill with its wand. "Now what's wrong with you, looking so glum?" it asked. Stan just looked and stuttered. "That kind gentleman rebuilt me, but I can't seem to start." "Of course you can't. Don't you know you are a magic car? You need a special kind of person to wish you to go," replied the fairy. "That special little girl has prayed for you, and that's why I came to help. Now let me see." Taking her wand and flicking it, she said, "Grant this little flying car his life, and fill his memory with all his old knowledge again." Stan felt a funny rippling over his frame, and suddenly he remembered everything again, and he smiled and he smiled.